AI is the brain, but blockchain is the nervous system, which is to mean that at least from an origination standpoint, if you have lots of inputs that are not validated, you didn't really solve anything. At the end of the day, one of the big problems that Figure solves is we reduce the secondary diligence costs and secondary marketing costs because people have confidence in the inputs.
Yep.
And as more and more output is generated, the value of having confidence in the inputs is even greater.
In this moment of AI, I would say we're really fortunate because I think most of the value that will be created in the next few years will be in deploying AI rather than in creating or building directly in AI. And so for us, that's our DNA. It's like we are extremely good at making large enterprises change because that's been the entire basis of our company.
I'm curious, where do you see AI kind of basically replacing humans in the servicing world, and where are the edge cases so dramatic or so complex and nuanced that you don't see AI able to do those functions?
I actually think we're in a really cool moment for our industry because I think intelligence has saturated for mortgage, right? It's like there is not a single task in mortgage servicing where the model isn't intelligent enough to do the task. And so actually, it's kind of a cool time to be building because you can actually build on top of saturated intelligence. And so then it becomes a real question of, well, how do humans still fit into the problem? And I think the answer is three things. So one is taste. It's like you have people who have been in the industry and have the domain knowledge and the context for decades. And those people are incredibly valuable because they know how things should be done, right? It's like they have the experience, the reps, the context to actually be able to help us design the experience. So that's one. The second piece is accountability. You can't get mad at a model for doing something. And we operate in a very heavily regulated space. And so at the end of the day, it's like, for a lot of the high sensitivity things, especially in default servicing, you need a human to be accountable for it. What does it mean to hold a model accountable for something? And then I think the final thing is it just frees up humans to do what humans do best, which is high empathy, the highest tier of customer service.
I want to switch gears a bit to our partnership, Figure and Valon. So we're both companies that focus a lot on truth rather than trust. We're companies that prioritize technology, a new approach to mortgage. We're both also companies that did the thing, in our case, lent on blockchain to show that you could do it, and then turned over that technology to our partners. So when did you realize that Figure and our approach to blockchain native origination was a natural fit with your AI native servicing?
So if you just say the words blockchain and AI, I think it sounds really buzzwordy.
It does.
It's like
buzzword soup.
Yeah, buzzword soup, exactly. But I actually think in practice for us, the two together makes so much sense, right? If you think about what servicing is, our job in our business is automating mortgage servicing on top of reliable data. And today we do it with, a system of record and data models, but you can imagine a world where if that was actually on blockchain, then you would do the, truth, not trust model. For servicing, it tends to be that you talk to homeowners when something has gone wrong. And so therefore, they are already in a low trust mentality. And so if you had something like blockchain, it would be the correct solution.
I think is important for companies that are trying to be disruptive within fintech is you need to have an appreciation, which I think you and also Andrew do, of the regulatory environment and the landscape and when you're building it.
Yeah, you have to have a very, 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 very healthy amount of respect and understanding of just the environment that you're walking into. And it's the thing is that it's complicated. I don't know if you guys have this problem, but when we get a pure tech person who's ramping on the business, it takes them 6 to 9 months to ramp. And for them to truly understand the business is actually really, really hard because they come at it from just a pure software perspective, whereas anyone in fintech has to own the end-to-end thing across finance, regulatory, software, people, process, et cetera, et cetera.
So this gets also to this question of AI slop, right? Which is a term I love. I don't think it's used enough, honestly. In the mortgage space, costs are high. They're high in servicing. they're high in origination. That's one of the reasons why our companies both have successful businesses, because we're lowering those costs. Servicing used to be manual, and now there's a bunch of software. But yet, it's still expensive to service loans. So clearly software didn't solve the problem. So will AI solve the problem?
This is something that I think is true about both of our businesses, which is you have an industry that has evolved by throwing more people at the problem. Because you have so many of them and they all do so many things, the cost to originate just increases and increases and increases. And so I think the prerequisite to AI is what Figure and Valon both did, which is rebuild the core infrastructure from scratch so that you have a solid foundation. This is an obvious statement, but AI can only be as good as the context and the data that's feeding it. We are, I think, in a moment today where you're not constrained by intelligence. You're purely constrained by context and you're constrained by data. And so it's a question of how truly AI native can you make these companies where, I think it's true in lending and servicing. You have that guy that's been there for 20 years.
Right.
They're the best at it. All of the context is in their heads. And so I think AI can solve the problem, but part of it's also you have to remove these constraints, which is getting context and getting data into your system of record. Once it's there, then you get to a point where all these long tail pieces you can start to automate away. And then humans really become the tastemakers, designers, and again, sort of that empathy layer.